not yours, and we have to learn that. John 10:10 says, the thief comes only to steal, to kill, and destroy. I have come, now this is Christ, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Okay? We need to realize that when God came, He came to us so we could have life and have it in abundance. Okay? But what the devil does is he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So I want you, remember we talked about listening to what you're hearing and listening, and be careful of who we listen to, because if we listen to it and it doesn't line up with what God would say to you, I promise you that's not God speaking to you then, and it's probably the devil speaking to you. And we need to rebuke that. When you hear those words, you rebuke it right away, and you don't get in a conversation. Because what happened to Eve when she got in a conversation with the devil? He convinced her, right, that she was right. And he convinced Eve that, the only reason God doesn't want you to eat that is He doesn't want you to know everything He knows. And so that's what the devil will do. He'll get in a conversation with you, and I promise you, you will not win that conversation. So you can't get into that conversation. The best thing to do is walk away from it. So time management. To continue to strengthen those, creating those yellow solid lines. Can anyone share? Is anyone doing that? Does anyone, hey, what they're doing is I'm actually planning my day by making appointments, say an appointment at the gym or an appointment with my kids. Is anyone doing anything like that right now? Yeah, does anyone want to share that, if they are doing it? Do you want to?
Well, like my husband and I will sit down on Sunday and we'll say, okay, what days of the week are we going to work out?
Yeah.
And, work dinner and getting away from work at the same time.
Good for you. And has it helped?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because now you've got it all set out, and same with your meals. If you could say on Monday, I know what I'm going to cook. Because if you're sitting in front of that fridge thinking, man, what are we going to cook tonight? Guess what? You're probably cooking something that's quick, and it's easy, and it's probably unhealthy. Sue, did you want to add to that?
Well, we homeschool our kids, and I've been kind of frustrated. How do I fit in exercise and still get in? We always start our day with prayer, but I'm always frustrated because I want to get my quiet time in, and I wish that the kids would have quiet time. And at the beginning of the year, we started where we all go and have our Bible study and quiet time together in the morning before we do anything else. So I get up and exercise so that I have time to do both. And so I just include them in my quiet time. No one's allowed to talk until it's sharing time.
Good.
And that has made a huge difference because now instead of me being frustrated, we have that designated time each morning to do
Good for you. And I know that some people, like especially people that don't really like structure, that can be really tough, but at the same time, it's really something that has to be done. We know that when we go to work, they structure our day for us, and there's a reason why, is because things will get done that way. And so thank you so much for sharing, because that is true, that when you start planning your days out, things get done. So discipline allows us truly to be free then, okay? Because let's say that you really want to learn to play the piano, okay? That and that's just a passion you have. I promise you, one of the things that you have to do then, unless God has just downloaded this amazing gift into you, you're going to have to practice. And once you practice, that takes discipline. But guess what it creates? It creates the ability to play music like you want to be able to play. And that's truly what it is. And so we need to learn to die to yourself. And so if you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. And I have found that that is so true. That the more I tried to plan, the more God just changed me in my direction, and the more I realized, you know what, I just got to quit doing this, and I got to let God be in control, and man, it's just made a huge difference in my life. So, and remember, we need to be focusing on those 5 key areas of life, just like we would with a garden. So we got to have that relationship with God, that relationship with family, working on our health, our finances, our mission. So the key to success in this, though, is that we need to treat them like they're 5 rows in a garden, okay? Now, what we try to do is try to keep all 5 rows healthy, okay? We don't want to just focus on one, because the other 4 areas of our life will fail. And I've heard people say that, oh, you just can't do that. You really, if one area of your life is bad or good, then it's going to probably cause the rest of your areas of your life to be bad. I disagree with that. And the reason why I think what's happening is the reason why that happens is they forget that that's the foundation, and they start making this the foundation, and they start making this the foundation, or that the foundation. You have to make your spiritual relationship with God your foundation, and then the other four won't fail when that is your focus, okay? And so that's what we need to focus on. So in conclusion tonight, remember to keep working on the book, okay? Working in that book is going to help you. If some of it's confusing, like I know I look at that thing and like, what is he actually trying to say here? And I can understand it after sitting there for about 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure it out. But some people may never figure it out, and that can be frustrating. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this thing, but I can't even figure out what it is. I don't want this to be difficult. If it is difficult, ask me about it. I can help you with it. Or, hey, I can do this without that little chart. I can eat healthy without writing down everything I'm eating all day long. Then do that, okay? I don't want you to be discouraged. Well, I can't write down everything I'm eating, so I'm just going to start eating bad again. No, I want you to look at, no, I can just not write it down. I don't need to. I can tell that what I'm eating is healthy or not now, okay? So next week is the last week that we're going to meet together, okay? It's not the last week of your 40 day, because there's still a week that you'll want to finish out, but it is the last time we're going to meet together, okay? And next week we're going to bring in Dr. Rob Lindsay, one of the chiropractors that works here, and he's going to explain why it is that chiropractic is a huge vital part of your overall health as well, and he's going to explain that because of how important I feel it is too, and what it's changed in my life. And so, but tonight I brought in Tom Kasparic. Now Tom Kasparic, I met him through another practitioner in the office, our naturopath, Christine, who's spoken here a few times now. And I met him through her, and we sat down and we met, and I could just see the passion and the fire that he has for helping people, and also through spiritual healing. And I truly believe that that is the foundation. And if you can't create that foundation, and if you need help with it, that's what someone like Tom Kasparic's going to do. Now, I didn't know, he also does theoplastic prayer. And I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. Grace, he does it at Grace Church. Now, I'd never heard of theoplastic prayer. And I was dealing, like I said, one of the areas in my life, or one of the times in my life, I really thought God was just trying to punish me for something, and I couldn't figure out what. And I was dealing with a really tough time in my life, and I didn't know what to do about it. I was at the point where to get out of bed in the morning was tough, and to come in here to work, it was almost impossible. And I couldn't figure out how that is, because I thought I was created to do this, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I met this lady, and she said, well, what I do is I'm a Christian counselor, and I'm going to sit down with you, and we're going to see healing through prayer is what she called it. And so we started sitting down, and she started talking to me and started getting to know me better. And she said, well, what kind of things are you telling yourself? And I'm like, okay, this is like a lot of the psychotherapy that you hear out there. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be successful, because I've already read a ton of self-help books. I've got it all figured out. This is not my problem. But she said, well, let's hear what you're saying. And so I started telling her, and she said, well, you know what? Those are Satan's lies. And we need to stop right here and pray that Satan would be rebuked and that God would speak truth into that lie. And I was like, wow, that's completely different tonight. So we started doing that, and it was amazing how the healing came. Now, it didn't happen just like that. Okay, now some people it does happen just like that, but for myself, it took me some time. And I realized I'd say I grew up in a pretty abusive home. It wasn't real physically, but very verbal. And I had a lot of hate towards my dad. But I really believed in my heart that I forgave him. I said I forgave him, but I was never going to talk to that man as long as he lived. And I really believed that was what was going to, that I forgave him. But it came to a point after doing this, and it took about 2 months after I went through that theoplastic prayer, that all of a sudden I just had this urge that I needed to phone him and create a relationship with him.